Welcome everybody. We're just going to take another minute before we get started.
Thank you for joining us today. We still have a bunch of people logging on, so we're just going to give it one more minute. But again, thank you for joining us to celebrate all of our awardees. This is a very exciting celebratory meeting, not just for the awardees, but for all of you that do such amazing work throughout the year. So thank you again for being here. Once I see the numbers stop climbing, I will go ahead and officially start us.
me the world, but all I've seen of this old world is a bed and a doctor bill. I'm tearing down your brooder house, 'cause now I've got the pill. All these years I've stayed at home while you had all your fun. And every year that's gone by, another baby's come. There's gonna be some changes made right here on Nursery Hill. You set this chicken your last time, 'cause now I've got the pill. This old maternity dress I've got is going in the garbage. The clothes I'm wearing from now on won't take up so much yardage.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Hot paints and a few
We are going
little.
to go ahead and officially start our October meeting. Again, this is a joint meeting between the Domestic Violence Council and our city's Domestic Violence Alliance. Thank you all for being here. I believe Abigail Marquez was going to go ahead and give an announcement. Abigail, are you on?
I am here. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for inviting me to join you all this on this important day that we continue to lift up each year. These are bittersweet moments. It's important to recognize the work that you do every day, the tireless commitment that you demonstrate to survivors of domestic violence. But I, often wish we didn't have to have months where we're recognizing the challenges that survivors continue to face each day in our communities and across the country. So I just want to take a moment to just really express my deep appreciation to all of you for the work that you do day in and day out, for your advocacy, for your support of government, for continuing to trust in us, to be your partners, to teach us, and for your patience. And, I've said this to many of you before. It's so wonderful to see you, Amy and Nicole. Great to meet you, and many of you on the call. This work is very personal to me, but I also do share your collective and individual commitments to increase the awareness and the resources for survivors of domestic violence. When I started doing this work, I was under the Housing and Community Investment for Families Department now, but prior to that, I was Assistant General Manager of the former Housing and Community Investment Department. And I started overseeing the domestic violence shelter agencies. The very first person, or one of the first advocates that I met with, was Eve. And then very shortly after that, I met with Elizabeth Eastland. And then, of course, I have been meeting with Amy and others for several years now, and was just astonished at how little the city was investing in our shelter system to support survivors. And together with all of you, launched a very aggressive, what I would call a campaign to educate other members of the city council and our mayor and the first lady, and really whoever would listen. I think we went on just a number of meetings together where we just had a flow chart, and we had a visual representation of just how little we were investing to support survivors. And over the years, through our collective effort and our partnership, we have been able to increase the funding support for survivor agencies and for the shelter system by 500%, 500. But it doesn't seem like it's been that high and significant. And I do want to take a moment again to pause and recognize your advocacy, because it's your collective advocacy that helped us champion this work on behalf of survivors. But it's not enough. And it's the first thing I continue to say to people, that we need to do more, and we need to continue to address the disparities and the unevenness in our funding that supports survivors. So I'm not a person for long speeches. I do have now the privilege of serving as the general manager of the Community Investment for Families Department. And our department continues to provide support to the shelter agencies that are serving survivors day in and day out. I'm really proud of our partnership, the fact that we were able to expand our Survivors First program. We were awarded the largest grant in the state of California. And I really do, again, want to acknowledge your work in helping to gain additional recognition of the challenges that impact survivors at the federal level, at the statewide level. The application that we applied for was a homelessness challenge grant. And the state was looking for innovation in how we were going to stop the inflow into the homelessness system. And we all know that family and family homelessness is or domestic violence is one of the leading causes to family homelessness. Again, these are facts and statistics and testimonials that I've heard from all of you in the work that you continue to lift up. So thank you again for being patient with me, for teaching me, and for continuing to trust in me and in government to be your allies and be your partners. I think we've talked about how we can continue to work together. We have a lot of work ahead. And we are in a transition period right now in the city. We have, new mayor and new city council members that will be joining us very soon. But I have no doubt that we will continue to lift up the voices of the survivors that we are working with, and we want to continue to support and create better economic opportunities for survivors in our shelter as they transition into permanent housing. They're able to connect to living wage jobs. We're doing a pilot program right now that we're going to come back and share with you on how to better integrate the domestic violence system into the workforce development system. We know that those two systems are currently disconnected, and we need to do a better job at integrating. So I think that's my cue to turn it back over. I just want to again thank Amy and Nicole, thank the Domestic Violence Alliance and the Domestic Violence Council, and of course our CIFD staff that is here and will be available to you whenever you need us. And just want to acknowledge Christina and Aaliyah and Claire from the CIFD team for their work and partnership with all of you as well. So thank you.
And Abigail, we want to recognize your work with us and the way that you have supported the DV community, the survivors and the service providers, always being there to listen and support and look for new and innovative ways to fund the work that we're doing. So we do appreciate everything that CIFD has done, and also sharing your incredible staff, Aaliyah and Claire and Christina, with the DV Alliance to really support the work that we've been doing. So thank you for joining us today and for recognizing that we continually need to communicate and educate and engage on the issue of domestic violence in the city.
Absolutely. Thank you all again.
Thanks so much, Abigail. Amy, do you want to go ahead and introduce our next section?
Well, this is the fun part because you guys, it's hard to plan the sort of Zoom Domestic Violence Awareness Month event every year. So what we really wanted to focus on mainly was all of our amazing awardees, our community members. And before we get to do that, there are some things you'd rather be doing. Like some of you might rather not be at work today, but nobody would rather be anywhere else than here and recognizing the investment we have all made. So with that, I'm going to ask Aaliyah to just launch a short poll. And you tell us what you'd rather be doing. There's a few questions. We've got a would you rather poll just to get an idea of who you all are. So the questions, I think, Aaliyah, you just got to share them as a question, part one. Did we do it right? Can you guys answer the questions, or is it not giving you that option? You can do it?
It's giving us an option, but on part two.
Okay.
Yeah, so there were 20 questions. We are selecting 10 today, and the first part would not launch.
So
we'll roll with the
part
second.
one is a secret. We don't know what you'd rather do there. But we'll give you about 30 seconds to think about all the things you'd rather be doing. One or the other.
We don't have that.
So would you rather lose all your technology devices or lose a picture, every picture you've ever taken of you? Wow. Or would you rather be an amazing chef or an amazing driver? I don't know. Los Angeles, that's a tough one. would you rather have an unlimited supply of cell phone data or an unlimited supply of gas? I mean, that's an easy one. We all need an unlimited supply of gas in our cars right now. It's too dang expensive. Okay, would you rather live somewhere tropical or somewhere cold? There's not gonna be that many cold places left, so if you wanna do it now. Would you rather work for Michael Scott or Mr. Burns? Would you rather be on a survival reality show or a dating show?
Okay, I'm gonna ask a question.
Yes,
Who are Michael Scott and Mr. Burns?
all right. Who wants to answer that? Someone do a better job than me. Unmute yourself, help me out.
Okay, so I see that nobody else knows either, huh?
All right,
Okay.
Michael Scott is on The Office, which is a sitcom that was on for I don't know how many years, and he was very self-centered centered and unaware of any ways in which he was impacting the people around him. And then Mr. Burns is the man who owns the nuclear power plant in the Simpsons. So those are
No,
your-
that he was very aware of his selfishness.
oh yes, that is so true, Carrie-Elle.
Okay, so we don't have to answer that if we don't understand it, right?
Or you can
You
just-
won't get an answer from me on that one. Okay,
That's fine, you don't have to.
I actually think logistically it won't allow you. They're all required.
Yeah, you have to do it to submit.
Logistically, you actually do have to answer it. I tried not to too, but I just chose the lesser of two evils, I guess.
how
Tiffany
can
said
you
she's gonna
answer
do
something
Food in
that
the
you don't
Forest.
know anything about? I never saw either one of those programs.
Oh,
So I
I just said
cannot
it
respond.
won't allow you to, it's, all of them are required.
I pick one, and aren't we glad it's not November 8th?
Hello.
Oh, yeah, all right, we'll give you guys 10 more seconds and then see who we know, how people are doing this. And then we can share our results. Warm you guys up for,
It won't let you submit unless you answer
Pick 'em all.
everyone.
yeah, pick them all.
Well, but whatever, this
Just
deal
be
between
respectful.
Michael Scott and Mr. Burns,
It won't
I-
be.
We won't hold it against you.
This is not an
I have-
official poll.
I have no idea who they are.
I have to say, I appreciate how seriously everybody's taking this.
Touche.
I really, yeah, I appreciate the commitment to the engagement.
Mr. Burns is an evil cartoon, and the other one is a cartoonish office boss. Both would make you miserable, but with one you would laugh.
Which one?
Michael Scott.
Which one?
Okay.
Scott, you'll
There we
laugh,
go.
but
Thank
you'll
you.
also go crazy.
Thank you so much.
So Susie is telling you, if you don't know who to vote for, just vote for Michael Scott, because at least he's not ruining the environment too much.
Well, and the
Maybe
good
don't
thing to know
paper, so I don't
here
know.
is that it's been stressed that these evaluation questions are very important. So back to the taking it very seriously.
All right, give you guys 5 more seconds. I've got about 50 people who voted. 60 people. Minty, it's not silly. People are taking this very seriously.
Lighthearted, lighthearted.
All right, should we end the poll and see what we've decided?
Yes.
All right, and we're gonna share the results. All right, so 67% of you would rather lose your devices than every photo of yourself. I appreciate that. And 82% of you would rather be an amazing chef. It's food is life. And we're almost all in agreement. I want to know the person who doesn't use gas. And I really commend them because they're probably on their bicycles or
Public
they're very
transit.
wealthy. So good for you guys. And would you rather live somewhere tropical or cold? We're mostly tropical, but some people want the cold. And I'm not even gonna go to the Michael Scott and Mr. Burns because we have very mixed feelings about not knowing who they are.
Controversial.
And It's like a 60-40 split on the dating versus survival, but I have confidence in this group that you would succeed in either. And we've got, would you rather go backstage with your favorite band or be an extra on your favorite show backstage? We've got 60-40 split again. And there are very few people who want to go and spend a night in the haunted house. I totally agree. I do not want to be in the haunted house. Nancy has an electric car. That's why she doesn't need gas. Someone's saving the planet. So, and space travel or travel to the past. I mean, we could have a whole nother meeting about what we do when we travel to the past, but I appreciate you guys want to travel to, wait, so of the people who voted to travel to the past, were you planning on changing it? Can I see a thumbs up? Who wanted to actually change it?
No, to know the truth about what happened as far as everything in this world is going on, the truth.
Bernita wants the truth by traveling to the past. Stephanie is going to change the past. All right.
Can I do two?
I like it. And then last, would you rather know the answer to every trivia question or the lyric to every song? Even split, you guys. So half of you will take to trivia night and half of you we will take to go karaoke singing. We can sign up later at the end of the day to figure out who's going where and actually meet in person at some point. So thank you guys for playing our silly game with us and warming up to connecting and our celebration. So
Thanks, Amy.
Bernita gives us an applause, even though we picked people she didn't know. Thanks, Bernita. I always feel supported. Okay, I'll give it to Nicole because we've got a few announcements before we get to our awards.
Thank you, Amy. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking a couple of moments just to join us in celebration and to join us in the silliness, lightheartedness of our polling questions. It's so important, right, that we each take a moment to reflect, to breathe, because as you all know, this work is really difficult. So part of the October awareness is, again, celebrating those accomplishments and each other and connecting. And I know this is not necessarily the way all of us wanted to connect. We were hoping to be in person this year. Eventually that will happen again, but we're doing the best we can over our virtual platforms. So thanks again for being here. Just a reminder, the meeting protocol, that this is an open and public meeting. Therefore, anything discussed both verbally and in the chat is not protected by any kind of confidentiality. So, again, if there's going to be any kind of client identifying information, please avoid the discussion or the use of the chat for that. Any personal cases as well, we'd encourage you not to put that in the chat or voice it. If you need any additional resources, please reach out to Amy or myself. We'd be happy to connect you, either for yourself or for any clients. So a couple of things from the Domestic Violence Council. As you know, we are still in the interviewing process for the permanent executive director. As soon as I get any updates, I do pass them along to you. So I wanted you to be aware of that. The second thing is for those of you who served on the ad hoc committee of the DV and child welfare back with Eve, the report, I understand, and we've communicated with many of you offline. It has been an extremely long time coming. We're looking to the final stages right now. So I am hesitant to give a timeline because every time I give a timeline, it seems to change. But what I can tell you is that work is going to come to fruition. So it is not for nothing. And again, we support all of you and we can't thank you enough for everything that went into those work groups. And that's really going to be a charge of the DV field, not just the council, but DV field overall moving forward to really look at that nexus. So thank you all for that. And the other thing will be that our November meeting will be on November 8th, our general meeting, and we will announce it again, but just to notice it will be the second Tuesday instead of the usual third Tuesday of the month. So I will go ahead and hand it over to Amy for any DVA announcements.
Thanks, Nicole. And I feel like I really failed you all in not making that disclaimer about public information when you were filling out the survey. Luckily, it was totally anonymous, so people don't know who you prefer and where you'd rather be. But in all seriousness, just like Nicole was saying, we all do hard work. And being engaged in the community, whether we are employed in doing this work or engaging in this work as survivors and giving our own time separate from the work that we do every day, this is all hard and it is really valuable. And the way that really helps me come back to it and keep doing it is actually my relationship with all of you. And it feels hard sometimes to be in relationship with a bunch of two-dimensional squares, but it's true that we still really do connect. I hear from people on a regular basis reaching out, asking questions. I'm asking questions. Being able to connect is really one of the ways that we can most take care of ourselves. You know, a lot of the studies out there right now talking about helping those heal from trauma or to be able to work within a trauma-related field is to have relationships. And so the relationships that we get to build with each other, with the community that we serve, is invaluable for us to be able to keep doing this work. And then to be able to celebrate those that we are in relationship with is really an amazing opportunity. And I really love to hear from all of you and celebrate all of you, all of our honorees today, both from the DV Council and DV Alliance. So I also want to acknowledge this is a tough time right now for the city of Los Angeles. We had 3 of our council members engage in racist conversations, disrespectful behavior, and it's not something the DV Alliance is ignoring, and it is something that we are discussing about how we can address that and how we make sure that we're also recognizing that many of our survivors in our service community are members of that community that they were disparaging, myself included. So I think it's something that is not going without comment and without observation. And we hope that the city moves forward and that we start, as everybody's been saying, is maybe not the healing process, but a new process, one where we're developing more trust and transparency and honesty in relationships. With that, you too can become more engaged in the city and with the Domestic Violence Alliance. We are having our elections at our next general meeting on November 14th. We have people who are running for every position except for our lived experience executive board member. And so if there's someone you know, or if you yourself are interested in running or running for one of our other positions, please reach out to me or to Aaliyah or anybody on the Alliance. If you would like to run, we'd love to have as much participation as possible. And with that, I think that covers our announcements for the city. Geraldine, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I tried to contact DVA and I kept getting a failed message back. So I do not have contact information for any of you, or it seems like that there's no info at DVA or whatever it goes through, that CFID, whatever. But
Geraldine, I will
think
put my
it's serious
email.
lack of communication for anybody in the public that's trying to get a hold of DVA. Okay.
Thank you for sharing that. This is the first time I've heard that, and I will share my email in the chat. We also have the website. Aaliyah, I don't know if you have additional information you can share.
Yes, the email is not designed for that. It's to disseminate information, and at the bottom of the email, it gives contact information, but I will definitely leave that in the chat.
Thank you.
So since we're talking about putting things in the chat, I posted that we can't copy the chat for some reason. Is that typical?
That would probably be a setting that I would have to change after.
But that is, yes, that is pretty typical that you can't copy from chats. It's an annoying feature of Zoom.
Yeah, and Zoom can definitely be
Double
annoying.
annoying.
So we'll
Thank
put
you.
our contact information in, and with that, I think we want to start with our award presentation. I'm going to pass it over to Nicole. The Domestic Violence Council will be giving their awards first, and then we will do the same with the Domestic Violence Alliance.
Thank you, Amy. I just have to note that that was the first time I have heard a complaint against Zoom instead of WebEx. Not that I'm keeping score, but again, thank you all for being here and to really get to the main point of this meeting, right? Our awardees. So first, I would like to invite Christy to go ahead and introduce the awardee for excellence in volunteer service. Christy, are you there?
Hello, good afternoon. I am Christy Velasco with the YWCA of San Gabriel Valley. I'm the Domestic Violence Project Manager, and I'm here today to introduce Terry Kozad as the award recipient for 2022 for her volunteer work with our agency. When I first called Terry and shared this great news with her, she was asking me, why me? And that is Terry. She's a very humble person, but I do want to share a little bit about her. Terry is committed. She has been tutoring in our shelter program at the YWCA for almost 20 years. She is a retired school teacher, but that has not slowed her down. We admire her desire to help others and her adventurous spirit as she travels all over the world. Terry is instrumental to the education of our students in shelter. Her understanding of violence and trauma is key to her approach and compassion for children. She also recognizes how important it is to empower parents to advocate for their children's education, and she shares that message. We have witnessed the impact of her commitment to our students as they seek out Homework Club instead of running from it. It is a privilege to work with Terry and present her with this award today. It is well deserved. Thank you, Terry.
Congratulations, Terry. If you want to go ahead and give a couple remarks.
Sure. Good afternoon. First, I would like to thank the Domestic Violence Alliance and the Domestic Violence Council for honoring me today. It's very special to have one's work recognized, but really this award is for all the hardworking staff at the Wings Shelter in Covina where I volunteer. I especially would like to thank Miss Christie who nominated me and who has been at the shelter longer than myself, which is 20 years. She is dedicated to serving our clients, always open to new ideas, and appreciates everyone who works at the shelter. I also want to mention that without the clients we serve, especially the children with whom I work, I would not be here today. It is because of them I continue to serve in my small capacity as a volunteer. For the past 20 years, I've gone on a weekly basis to organize an afternoon homework club for all school-aged students. The children bring their homework and we try to help in whatever manner we can. Sometimes it's helping complete assignments or to do a project. Other times it's listening to children read, practice math facts, or even sight words. Honestly, it's about spending one-on-one time with a child that is so important. It's not necessarily about the homework. There are even times when we just need to have a game day. Because I'm a retired teacher, I love to make contact with the parents whenever possible. It's important to listen to their concerns for their child and for me to gain a little more background about our clients. I have also held educational sessions with parents about how to help their child with their studies. Life is not always easy living in a shelter, so I want the parents to know that there's support for them and their children. Again, I do not do this work alone. There's a dedicated staff in the children's room, that are ready to lend a hand. I have learned so much from the staff about tough love and patience. April, if you're listening, you are amazing. And I truly cherish the time we worked together and all I learned from you. In closing, there's a poem I'd like to share with you. I often start my day with a little silence and contemplation, and this is a poem I turn to quite often. It helps me to think about why I'm here and why I do what I do. The poem is called Thinking of Others. It's by Mohammed Darwish, who is a Palestinian poet. As you prepare your breakfast, think of others. Do not forget the pigeon's food. As you conduct your wars, think of others. Do not forget those who seek peace. As you pay your water bill, think of others, those who are nourished by clouds. As you return home to your home, think of others. Do not forget the people in camps or in our condition in shelters. As you sleep and count the stars, think of others, those who have nowhere to sleep. As you express yourself in metaphor, think of others, those who have lost the right to speak. As you think of others far away, think of yourself. Say, if only I were a candle in the dark. Thank you again for this award. It's for all the people who have suffered because of domestic violence and for those of us who try to make this world a better place. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Terry, and congratulations again. We greatly value and appreciate all the work you've done over the many, many years. So next up, I would like to introduce Patty to go ahead and introduce the awardee for excellence in employee service. Patty, go ahead.
Thank you so much. And I'm really happy to be here today, and congratulations to all the honorees. It's so good that we're singling out people who actually represent the whole field. And so many excellent, we have so many excellent people in our field, but I am thrilled that Yvette Lozano is getting the Excellence in Service Award. I've worked with Yvette for 20 years, and our agency is celebrating 50 years. In fact, we're having a big celebration tomorrow night. So Yvette has been part, her DNA has been part of this organization for 2 decades. And Yvette started out with, counselor advocacy, and then managing and became a manager. And then she became a division director, and then she became the chief program and operations officer, and she's part of our executive leadership team at Peace Over Violence. So her 20 years have spanned so many skill sets. She brought certain ones with her, and then she developed them over these last 20 years. I think one of the most amazing things about Yvette is that she never gives up on a problem. She really believes that there are solutions, that problems can be solved, and she engages her team and other staff members in the community to solve those problems. But at the same time, in her commitment to survivors, she doesn't look at survivors as problems to be solved. She looks at them as whole human beings with everything that they come with. And that's how she has trained our teams here at Peace Over Violence. Yvette also is her commitment to survivors and their families are just so fantastic. And she really models that for our whole agency, and I believe for the movement. But she's also an amazing trainer. So whatever Yvette learns, she's able to disseminate back out there into the universe. She's a remarkable empowerment self-defense trainer. And she loves doing that because she loves seeing people begin to change and get in touch with their own agency, which is obviously what she also enjoys, and what she wants our agency to do always is to have survivors get in touch with their own agency and to become empowered. I think one of the most, the other thing that Yvette does is we don't work alone. Somebody just said that none of us work alone, and that's why we also have a movement. But I think one of the skill sets of Yvette is to really liaison with all of our partners in the city and the county, with law enforcement. She maintains those relationships and is always very transparent and honest in her interactions. But I think where Yvette really was tested more recently, as we all have been tested during COVID, was during the Project Safe Haven time, when we had this opportunity to try to make where survivors live safer than where they were in their own homes, because we know that being at home was not a safe space. To quarantine at home was dangerous at times. And so Yvette took on organizing Project Safe Haven for POV, and we don't have a shelter. We've never had a shelter. I think we don't ever want to have a shelter, but because we rely on the skill set of all the wonderful shelters that are out there, But Yvette took that project on. It was brand new. It was rife with issues. And she managed that project, and she got the staff to figure out how to get people into safe places. And she had to deal with landlords and complicated family situations. And that was kind of like a test. I think that was a test that Yvette just passed with flying colors. She did it. She just did an amazing job on behalf of Peace Over Violence and all the survivors that we served. But one of the things that I just say, just in closing, that Yvette never forgets that the road to recovery for survivors is complicated and very layered. And she never lets any of us forget that. And she stretches us to figure out how can we be better as an organization within our programs, to do better, to be there, to help create safety and healing for survivors. And so Yvette is an incredibly important leader at Peace Over Violence and in our domestic violence movement. And I am so glad that she's getting this recognition. And she indeed personifies excellence in service. And congratulations, Yvette.
Thanks so much, Patty. Yvette, do you want to go ahead and say a couple words?
Thank you, Patty. Yes, thank you, everyone. Sometimes I'm a bit few for words, but I just want to really appreciate everyone. I'm truly honored to be receiving this award in excellence in service. Wow. So I'm very humbled just to be recognized for this award amongst all the awardees today. It's such an honor to be in the same circle with all of you and the work that you do. Thank you, Peace Over Violence team, for the nomination. Working for survivors of domestic violence and for sexual assault or survivors of trauma is not easy work, as you all may know. And I just want to take a moment right now to appreciate my family, my daughters, Emily and Jessica and David, and my partner for their patience and understanding in working in this field for 20 years and responding to survivors, being there one-on-one, supporting them. I'll admit I've taken my kids along sometimes in certain situations. We should not do that, but when worse comes to worse, we do this the grassroots way sometimes. But I really want to appreciate them for sharing the time that they could have spent with me, with survivors, and for always inspiring me to do what I love to do, and is working with victims of crime, survivors of sexual assault and domestic violence. I also want to take some time to really acknowledge the wonderful team at Peace Over Violence with whom I have the honor of working with each day. A couple of them are here today. I'm so extremely overwhelmed with joy to see them here. I have the deepest respect for each of and every one of the POV members for always going above and beyond and serving survivors and just giving it your all and putting your heart into it. So I see all of you, I see you here. You know how much I love you all, and I really appreciate the work that you put into every day. It does not go unnoticed and unrecognized. So thank you so much for everything you do, POV team members. I loved seeing my granddaughter in here. She's distracting me, but I love that she's here. Third generation right there. And I also want to acknowledge and thank the LADV Council and DV Alliance for your continued efforts, and all my colleagues here in the domestic violence and sexual assault field. I've met, I think I know more than half of you here. It's really a true honor working alongside of all of you. And I really want to acknowledge and thank you for always promoting peace, creating policy, lifting survivors' voices, and dedicating yourselves to serving those in need and ensuring that our communities are free from violence. So I thank you so much. And again, thank you for this recognition.
Thank you, Yvette. And again, congratulations and thank you for your years of service and dedication to all survivors. So with that, I want to go ahead and introduce Amy, who is going to introduce our Excellence in Public Service awardee. Amy.
Hello, thank you, everyone. It's an honor to introduce Officer Inigas. She's been the DART officer for the past 4.5 years. We worked together for the past 1.5 years. Just to see her amazing compassion, empathy, and her work ethic was unbelievable. She's gone above and beyond. We've had situations in which I think we both looked at each other after and were like, how do we get through this today? Just how amazing she is. I think that for a lot of people, especially the community, especially my minority community, Latin community, we have this fear of going into law enforcement, especially if you're undocumented, the fear that they might be then sent to their countries. So the fact that she was able to just put this ease with all the survivors we worked with, specifically one lady that was really in distress, and it took everything from both of us to calm her down. She went above and beyond for this survivor, and everything that has ever been spoken about Officer Inigas has just been great appreciation for what she does, the passion that she works, helping our survivors. It's amazing, and it's been an honor to work with her. And I am so happy that she was nominated and received this award because she really deserves it. She's amazing. And thank you all.
Thank you so much, Amy. Unfortunately, Officer Inigas could not be with us today. However, the good news is it's because she's enjoying a well-deserved vacation with her family. So she did send some remarks that I will read on her behalf. Thank you so much for this award. It has been an amazing experience working alongside Amy and the rest of the wonderful advocates at Peace Over Violence through the LAPD Domestic Abuse Response Program. I'm so proud that we have been able to help hundreds of domestic violence victims in the East Los Angeles area receive necessary services for them to improve their quality of life. Again, thank you to the Domestic Violence Council for this honor and for recognizing all the work we have done. So congratulations, Officer Inigas. We truly appreciate all of your work with our DART program, and we are honored to be able to recognize your service. So next, I am going to hand it over to Nancy, who will introduce our Betty Fisher awardee. Nancy, go ahead.
Thank you so much. It is really a privilege for me to present the 2022 Betty Fisher Award on behalf of the DVC. As many of you know, Betty Fisher was a pioneer in the DV field. She worked tirelessly on multiple fronts to advance the safety and security of those impacted by domestic violence. The same is clearly true of today's honoree, Gail Pincus. And, you know, most of you know this, but Gail is truly a founding mother of the anti-domestic violence movement and has been a leader in Los Angeles for decades. She is a pioneer, a fearless advocate, and a passionate teacher. She founded and serves as executive director of the Domestic Abuse Center and founded the Domestic Abuse Response Teams, our favorite DARTs, with LAPD in 1994. Gail is as courageous as she is kind. She is generous with her time and with her knowledge, and she's always willing to help us better understand the real world implications of a policy proposal, brainstorm over a question, or help solve something complicated. Her tireless efforts have inspired her peers and truly generations of advocates to follow in her footsteps. Honestly, she's earned the right to sit back and take well-deserved time off. Fortunately for the rest of us, instead, she continues to counsel survivors and their children, trains new clinicians, helps craft legislation for California, and a personal favorite of mine and Minty's, she serves on the Regional Policy Committee. She's a member of the LA City DV Alliance, co-chairs the Law Enforcement and Systems Improvement Committees, and if that wasn't enough, she's also sits on the county's death review team. While we in LA call her ours, she's recognized throughout the country as an expert in the field of domestic violence and has worked with district attorneys, public defenders, and law enforcement across California. There is no one who better embodies Betty Fisher's ideals, example, and commitment. It is really my honor to call Gail a friend, and it is a privilege to present her with the Betty Fisher Award in recognition of Gail's outstanding commitment and dedication to domestic violence prevention and intervention. Gail, you are the absolute best. Congratulations.
Thank you, Nancy. And Gail, yes, please go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm thoroughly embarrassed, of course, but I could not do this work without all of the village around me that has worked as tirelessly as I have and is always there to chime in, put their 2 cents in, be supportive, show up in whatever way possible. And it's interesting that it's the Betty Fisher Award because when we first started the team and the DART team, and Betty and I were paired by the city of Los Angeles to share a grant and expand the team. It was new and innovative and strange and different, working collaboratively with the police, and Betty was able to work with the shelter community and convince them that this was a new innovative approach and something that we should embrace and explore. Without her collaboration, we would never have gotten to the point where we are today, that DART is in every division of LAPD. But there were mentors for me all along the way that got me where I am. So Pat Butler from Sojourn, Carol Tantow from Sojourn, Benita Walker and Bobby Gooden, loyal friends, allies, mentors, and brainstormers. Alana Bowman for her innovation in the city attorney's office and her legislation that forwarded the issue of domestic violence in the state of California. Carmen McDonald and Diana Trunk, who taught us at the Domestic Abuse Center to look at being advocates with restraining orders and to understand that system of family law and why it was so important for the restrainers, and taught us how to do them. And then recently we partnered with the LA Center for Law and Justice to improve the system that Diane Trunk invented, 25, 30 years ago, and to bring it up to date and to deepen and expand that program, and bringing advocates in and recognizing you don't have to be a lawyer to do this work, that advocates again and again and again and again are there and are helpful and can do some really, really important work. Donna Wills, if anybody remembers, in the beginning of the DA's involvement in domestic violence, Michelle Daniels, Pam Booth, and currently Stephanie Meyer, who carry the torch and listen. And I know if Stephanie's on the call, We all do this work currently because of Karen Ruiz, a murder-suicide that should never have happened. Captain Jim McMurray from LAPD Van Nuys Division, who had the foresight to reach out to us, and he was actually his proposal for the DART program to pair an advocate with an LAPD officer to respond to these 911 calls, to see if having an advocate present was going to make a difference in the lives of victims of domestic violence, which we know is absolutely true. Nancy Lemon, who I started working with, God, years and years and years ago when we started doing expert testimony, and who of course is the founder of the Family Violence Appellate Project. Without her guidance and friendship and support, again, I don't know who I would be today without all of that. The legislators who helped us, Hilda Solis, Sheila Kuehl, the pioneers in forwarding our vision of making life easier and better and safer for the clients that we worked with. The very first DART officer, Jim Nuttall, who is now at the Family Justice Center in Van Nuys, Jeff Harkavy, who is now Judge Harkavy, who tutored us on what was possible. Gil Garcetti, who welcomed DV advocates and expert witnesses and helped to further the safety and the prosecution of abusers, to hold them accountable. The city attorney's office, working hand in hand with policy. Currently, Paula Vidwan, who's just absolutely amazing in helping to further the issues that we all face, both statewide legislatively and within the city attorney's office. And then locally to our agency, to Josie Chavez, who was actually one of our clients we met on the DART team, who became the most amazing advocate for battered women that one could ever hope to meet, who is currently becoming a paralegal and is about to get licensed, and has been the recipient of many, many scholarships because of her brilliance and advocacy work. To Debbie and Joanne from the Volunteers for the Domestic Abuse Center, who have been there since 1994 and are still there, still doing what they need. DART officers Xavier Miranda, Robin Jones, Floyd Walton, currently Pat Rinkakis, Heidi Barajas, our wonderful, wonderful DART advocate, and Sam Chapman in Topanga Division. We couldn't do this work without all of you. All of these people. I couldn't do what I do without my support system, my mentors, my challengers, and this is, and also to remember the spirit that Betty Fisher brought, that all of us together are required to do this work, that we have to work together. And Nancy Volpert, my buddy, my friend, my islands, runner into her with my grandson and my daughter Michelle, long suffering for listening to her mother about domestic violence way too much. But it's all of us, all of our expertise, all of our contacts, all of our ideas that have made all of this work possible. So my name is on this, but it is really to all of you that I raise my hat, that I thank you. And together we will do this. We will be, as we have all said, someday we hope we are no longer necessary to be there, that society has accepted that violence in any form in an intimate relationship is unacceptable, and we do not perpetuate the myths and the misogyny and the discrimination that has so furthered and supported domestic violence for generations. We will stop it. And I hope that we also have the bravery of Iranians, that our moral police do not become the rule in the United States. Speaking of abortion rights, and that we have the same bravery they do to speak out against huge odds, and we will not be silenced. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gail. And again, congratulations from all of us. I would now like to introduce Gio to present our Kendall Evans Memorial Award.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Giovanna Martinez. Please call me Gio. I'm the co-chair of the LGBTQ plus committee at the DV Council, and I have the honor of introducing our awardee for our Kendall Evans Award. I'm introducing Mary Case, who is from the LA LGBT Center. And she is currently the manager for the Legal Advocacy Project for Survivors. Mary has over 2 decades of work in working in intimate partner violence and domestic violence, specifically at the LGBTQ intersection. I personally and professionally, I know her work and her advocacy has saved tons and millions of LGBTQ survivors' lives. I personally met Mary almost 20 years ago. I was sitting on the floor of a domestic violence shelter getting ready to listen to a presentation on the intersection of domestic violence and the LGBTQ plus community. And Mary walked in and blew me away with this presentation, not only because I was able to see how important and crucial prevention work was for our LGBTQ survivors, but the way that Mary showed up in such an intentional way to talk about our community and to talk about how important these services are and why shelters should be opening up their doors and being culturally responsive for our most vulnerable survivors, had me fall in love with the work. There is no advocacy work for me if it wasn't for Mary. Mary is my personal mentor. Mary took me by the wing and introduced me to these presentations. Mary's the reason why I show up to do the work when it comes to the queer community. And Mary's, to me, consistently embodies trauma-informed and survivor-centered. Her intentionality with everything that she does when she shows up to train, her innovative work with aggressor-survivor differentiation is life-changing. And I am more than honored to be able to present this award to her. Additionally, the fact that this award lines up with Kendall Evans, another fierce advocate, that her voice working with aggressors and folks who engage in harm aligns with the way that Mary shows up in work as well, that we need to support the whole spectrum. I'm going to try not to cry. Mary, I think this is a perfect award for you. I'm so sad that I don't get to give you an award, or we don't get to talk about it in person, but I'm so proud of you. I know that there is no advocacy or me without your inspiration and the work that you've done. I know I'm one of many, many advocates who have benefited from your work, had benefited from listening to you present and understand how important, crucial it is to support our LGBTQ plus survivors. I want to thank you for everything that you do. This honor is long, long overdue. And I am just so glad that you're here, and congratulations on this award.
Thank you, Gio. Mary, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Gio, for that heartwarming introduction. And it's been an honor working with you. Absolutely. I know I only have 3 minutes, so even when I'm going to say I'm going to go back 20 years, it's because that's when I met Kendall 20 years ago. And, you know, I believe in divine energy, and it was very interesting that 2 days before folks let me know I was getting this award, I was searching my mailbox for something, and an email from Kendall popped up, and it just filled my heart because I miss her. And she was a colleague and a friend, and it's such a loving, fierce advocate. And so I felt like 2 days later when I got this announcement, it really, really just went to my heart, and it means so much, because we all in the field that worked with Kendall knew how fierce Kendall was. And Kendall's message was always that it is so important that we be working with folks who cause harm for power and control, as well as survivors whenever possible. Because if we're only working with survivors, we're only dealing with one half of the issue and one half of the problem. So 20 years ago, when I went to the Association of Veterans Intervention Programs 40-hour training, which trust me, I was not like super excited to do, because I didn't really think I wanted to work with cisgender heterosexual men. But my mom, who was also a fierce DV advocate and a therapist and worked for 30 some odd years, starting back in the 90s, doing this work as well, who passed 5 years ago and I know is with me today in spirit. She encouraged me. And when I met Kendall, I was very inspired by the work, by the teaching, by understanding how important this work is, how you can really help to keep folks that are surviving safer by working in a compassionate way with folks that are causing harm. And that led me to further reach out to the center at some point and begin working there. And a lot of the work I did for many years was in groups, feminine identified groups with folks who were causing harm. And I'm going to tell you something, I saw phenomenal changes in these people. I saw life-changing things happen. They ended those relationships, which were good, and they began growing. I had folks who literally stayed in my groups for up to 3 years at a time voluntarily. And to me, what does that say? That there is room for change, maybe not for everyone, but there is room for change, and it's important. I want to reiterate Kendall's message that it's important that we know that veterans intervention programs, working with folks that cause harm, is so important to all of this work. So I want to thank, first of all, the elders that came before me. Gail, you hit a list of so many incredible people. And I also want to thank Gail, because coming into this work back at the DVC a number of years ago, when we'd sit at the table and bring up working with aggressors, it wasn't very well received. I'm going to be honest. Gail was someone who always felt like supported that work, absolutely supported that work. Gail knew how important that work was as well. So I want to thank the elders that came before. I also want to dedicate this to those of you that are in the audience right now, and you may not get the recognition on a daily basis, or you may not get an award, but you're pushing the envelope at all times to be innovative, to make changes in the work we do, because we know it's important. Things are always changing. And I want to honor your work, even if you may not get that recognition on a regular basis. Give it to yourself. It's very, very important. I want to reiterate what a lot of people said. Gail, you know, you need your support system. And my support system over the years, certainly when Tara and I were, on running the LGBT issues committee and sitting on the executive board, I was grateful that we were there as a team. Tara was so innovative and made so many changes happen to be more inclusive of our community. My current support system, Miyako Faley, who is the one person I can go to that understands a lot of what we do, because it is very specific. Rick and Sally at ABIP, y'all are wonderful and amazing, and I know how much you miss Kendall as well. But Kendall is with us, and my supervisor, Roger Kogan, who supports me daily, believes in me. All those things really matter and they're important. So I accept this on behalf of all of you, your work, and the folks that we work with, the lives that we have the privilege of changing. What an honor that is. So I am honored. Kendall, thank you for all that you did and still do from the other side. I'm grateful. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mary. And again, congratulations. The Domestic Violence Council wants to, again, just really congratulate and thank all of our awardees for the 2020 awards from the Domestic Violence Council. As you heard, this has been a long time coming for all of you. And we truly wouldn't be where we're at without the dedication, the mentorship, and the collaboration that you all have exhibited over the years and the decades. And so thank you. I also want to thank our past awardees for their service on the selection committee, and to all of you who have nominated people for the Domestic Violence Council Awards. I know when that announcement comes out to please nominate someone, it feels like one more thing on the to-do list, but it is so important to take these moments and to lift up our partners in this work. So when that announcement comes around next year, please, please, please take that time to nominate your colleagues and your partners in this work. I also really want to thank Isabel Checa for all of her hard work and communication back and forth with everyone involved in this process. Isabel, again, you are the backbone of the DVC, so thank you. Now I will go ahead and turn it over to Amy for the DVA Awards.
Thank you, Nicole, and congratulations. I just want to give another round of applause to all of our DVC recipients, and you all have paved the way for more of us to come, and you continue to invite and mentor and help grow that next generation to do this work as we keep doing it. So I am very happy to announce our Marjorie Browdy Award recipients. It was a tough year, and we have such amazing people that we're actually sharing this award between 3 people. You all don't have to share one statue. We got it covered. It's coming in the mail. And so we have 3 recipients, and just to tell you a little bit, and someone's going to interrupt me because they know way more than I do because I did do my research, but the Marjorie Browdy Award is named after Marjorie Browdy, who really was dedicated to collaboration and action within the city of Los Angeles to really make things happen and to be a connector in the domestic violence community. From what I understand, she worked as a psychiatrist, and she was a passionate advocate for women and for domestic violence survivors, and for the work that is being done and was done to actually address the issue. It is because of Marjorie Browdy that, connected to her, that we're here as the DV Alliance. So the award for the Marjorie Browdy is really about being a connector and a collaborator, building community and making impact. So we have 3 amazing honorees, and we are going to start with Sarah, who I think she's still here. Yes. So Sarah is going to be able to announce our first recipient, Tiffany DuVernay Smith. So.
Thank you, Amy.
There you are.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be able to present Tiffany with the Marjorie Browdy Award. As Amy said, this category called for someone with a history of improving or facilitating services to survivors through collaborative efforts in the city, and I could think of no better person than Tiffany. Tiffany is a trailblazing systems reform champion focused on elevating people with lived experience to leadership. Tiffany has been instrumental in continuing to advocate for a lived experience commission through the City Council, and is an active member of the Domestic Violence Homeless Services Coalition allyship group. Tiffany is passionate about domestic violence survivorship, oversight and accountability of the homeless response system, mental health stigma reduction, alternatives to incarceration, and equity based on her lived intersectionality experience. Tiffany is the advisory group coordinator for the Lived Experience Advisory Board at LAHSA. Tiffany is a powerful force in the community, kindling change in hearts, minds, and policies, and inspired by love, the Lord, her husband, nature, and traveling. Thank you, Tiffany, for continually pushing me and our community to continue to champion survivors and center survivor voices.
Thank you, Sarah.
Tiffany, we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you. So I'm really honored to be here for several reasons. But something I want to mention that I have been fighting for is a city commission on homelessness made up of people with lived experience. And those demographics, of course, other demographics, of course, are covered, like, you know, a survivor of domestic violence, more than one, also being a part of this commission. And this has been in the making since August 5th, 2020, when the city voted yes on item number 5, which is 19-020 in technical terms. And March 30th this year was a CLA report, and it's been with the Homelessness and Poverty Committee for 6 months, effective September 30th. So yes, I did actually go and ask Kevin De Leon to agendize it on this last meeting. And before it was canceled, it was not on the agenda. And so just so you know, there is a fight. And then the next move is for a city commission. You see that coming, right? So just wanted to share that, just making those efforts and trying to call the H&P committee higher so it can move through to the city commission and be stood up as through the city council and be stood up as an actual commission. Right, so hopefully we don't have to do a Rule 54 to get it off the floor, and that the person who is gonna be in that space as chair, interim chair, will put it on the agenda, and we'll see that happen, right? Something else I wanted to just say is just about people in the community. I know that people don't leave their relationships right away, but if you're that person, I find myself as being a supportive person, they will come when they have those spaces, like, this is the time that I can leave, and then they want to talk it through, and then they don't leave. Then the next time they want to call. And so I find myself being that support person, and I have had people move on from their relationships and go on to, you know, with their lives just from having the support. So I just wanted to share that with you. And then also on Facebook, I was told when I was in therapy, I'm still in therapy. When I was in therapy and support groups and just being a survivor, I was encouraged to use Facebook as a resource. And so now on my journey, I find myself being that person. When people come to reach out, I encourage them because they did reach out, and welcome them and just be supportive, you know? And then lastly, if I could dedicate, you know how people want to dedicate though, I accept the award myself. I've been putting in the work. But if I can just honor some other folks or call some people higher with me as I accept the award, it would be survivors. It would be other people with lived experience and other advocates in any of these intersectionalities that we may find ourselves in when it comes to trauma, right? And so to my peers, I want to say, do better. And I say this is I think it's not easy for people to call other people higher in the community where people have been victimized and traumatized and all this kind of stuff. But as a survivor, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it right now because we have to treat each other better. If we are together and we have guidelines, they're for a reason. They're for our own safety and our protection. So we're amongst a community where we have trauma responses, where we can be easily triggered, where we have challenging personalities. But if I refuse to stand around and let someone in our community re-victimize any one of us, or traumatize any one of us, or bully any one of us, I've been taking a stand for it this year. 2022 was a lot of suffering in the name of standing up against bullying, which triggered our MyDV. I know we're in Domestic Violence Alliance and Council world, but there's no difference when I'm being bullied of what it pulls up in my body. And I found myself amongst a group of people just in working through what I was going through. I found myself in a group of people who were experiencing oppression at work. So my other call is to us who are employed in the sectors of whether it's, homelessness, DV, and just the community work, that we don't tolerate the oppression, we don't tolerate the abuse, we call it out, because suffering in silence is a real big thing. You know how many times I cried every day this year? Long periods of time. I gave up so many times. I mean, I'm standing here, so I haven't given up, but trust me, I quit so many times. I'm surprised I'm not bawling and crying right here, right now. But I quit and I gave up so many times. And you have people around you who are this close to giving up. And I also want to say, just in vulnerability, I haven't battled with like suicidal ideations or anything like that. But in the name of fighting so hard and justice not being served and not feeling heard, there's a quit that comes. It's a give up that comes. It's a walk away that comes. It's a, I want to escape the earth that comes with it. And so what came in my mind is a 2014 QPR training, which is a suicide prevention training. And the only thing I remember from that training is the word listen, because it was repeated over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. So that when I was in my moment and I was battling more than once this year, I just remember saying to my husband, like, wow, this is really the connection that makes people want to quit, because they're not being heard. So please listen, please be a better listener. If somebody is even talking about a coworker or maybe somebody that they're servicing, because you're dealing with trauma responses, you're also dealing with abuse. And how are you taking care of yourself? You know, I went on a cruise in May and June and August, and I've been getting 2-hour massages because the self-care is important. Please take care of yourself. Please have zero toleration, and let's move forward. And Sarah, I really, really appreciate you. And I feel very honored and privileged just as a survivor. And then just with the year I've had, this is a real blessing to just to receive an award. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tiffany. And thank you for calling us to do better, to be better, and to lead by example. So I want to invite our next nominator, Stephanie Wack, to give the next Marjorie Browdy Award. Where are you, Stephanie? There you
Hi,
are.
everybody. Well, first, thank you for the DV Council and the DV Alliance to put on this event. I think it's really important that we celebrate people that provide services for victim and survivor of domestic violence. Before I present the award, I would like to also give a big thank you for everybody who's working really hard. Everybody's understand that this field is difficult, but it is a rewarding work to do, especially when we can impact someone's life for the better. Now, with the award, I am honored to present it to my colleague and friend, Cariel Escalante. I have met her while she was a domestic violence regional coordinator for SPA 8 for Rainbow Services. Her dedication and assertive personality make her a fierce advocate for survivors of domestic violence. During this time, I have seen her, very voiceful at the CS Council and advocating on the behalf of the domestic violence community at LASA. She was part of several other projects, such as the home cohort of the California Partnership to End Domestic Violence. And also she works really hard to uplift and empower people with lived experience through the allyship program. So with that, she does amazing work and she really deserves to be nominated. So, and she received that award. So thank you, Keria, for all the hard work.
Ariel, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Stephanie. Thank you so much to the DV Alliance and to the DV Council for having this award. And also, I have to admit that I'm having a little bit of imposter syndrome after hearing all of those lovely speeches from all the awardees. But I'm really grateful to be here right now and to receive this award. I can't say that I ever expected to get this award or any for that matter. I think for all of us that do the work, this recognition or awards are not necessarily at the forefront of our minds when doing the work. But if I'm being transparent, it definitely is a little bit of an ego booster. And also, like, just as far as the work that I do, I think that's possible because of Rainbow. I may be biased, but I've had a great fortune to work for this incredible agency that has given me the flexibility to advocate and push like the boundaries when need be. And this has really emboldened me and really fueled the passion to create changes and build those lasting relationships that are needed for us to give access to survivors of domestic violence to resources that can be really confusing and really just really confusing and just difficult to access, right? This award is not really just reflective of the work that I've done as an individual. It can't be. Because the work that we do, we all need each other to best serve the survivors that we work with. The reason that we do this work in the first place is for survivors. We want to make sure that we're uplifting their voices in every space, all the spaces that we're in. And because of that, this awarding capacity is not only the collaborations that I've had with coworkers, but also colleagues, and also many of you in this room. Many of you have trusted me and given me the opportunity to work with all of you and your agencies. And for that, I'm really grateful. And I hope that I can continue to work with many of you and continue to create easier access for all of the survivors that we serve. Thank you so much. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, everyone. And I do want to put kind of a plug in just for all DV regional coordinators. I think that they are at the forefront of collaboration. And really, if you haven't connected with your local DV regional coordinator, please go ahead and do so.
Thank you, Cariel, and thank you so much for the work you've done and really investing in that intersection of domestic violence survivors and homelessness and connecting resources and communities. It is really at that heart of this award is that collaboration and really building a whole team, because I know you've been instrumental in what the DV regional coordinators are today. So with that, we have one more awardee, definitely not least, and I'm going to invite Minty Sukudnikov to announce the awardee.
Thanks, Amy. And I wanted to say how honored I am to be presenting this award to Nancy Volpert. Nancy, who is so darn dedicated that she came to work today despite being in the middle of a much needed vacation, a long awaited and much needed vacation. So that shows you how dedicated she is. That she was willing to be here with us today. And I've got to go fast because she might have more interruptions on her vacation. But we all know Nancy, who is the Jewish Family Services of LA's Senior Director of Public Policy and Community Engagement. And we know her from her years of service to the DVA and the DVC, and as the co-chair of the DVA DVC LA Regional Policy Committee. But since this Browdy Award is about recognizing collaboration, we also should be recognizing her work with the Jewish Public Affairs Committee of the California Executive Committee and the LA Development Fund Advisory Board and the Food Forward Advisory Council. I mean, that is really one of the really amazing things about Nancy is that she brings so much into our work from all these different areas and practice fields. And so she really is the epitome of collaboration. As that longtime chair of the LA Regional Policy Committee, she's led the committee through a merger with CPE-DV's PPRC. And Nancy's long demonstrated skills in collaborative work has really meant a lot to our community. I mean, her skills have been successful in growing this collaboration between the former PPRC and the LA Regional Policy Committee. And, you know, the collaboration has just grown and flourished under her leadership. And she's assembled an assembly of policy advocates from a multitude of fields, including law enforcement, prosecution, social service, legal advocates, legislative, child advocacy, and gets everybody together to collaborate and educate on public policy. And she's been able to gather advocates from other parts of the state to join in the work of the LA Regional Policy Committee. So she really is the definition of collaboration in our community. She's a leader in the field of advocacy as well. And she's been a strong advocate on public policy, leading in public benefits advocacy for low-income DV survivors. And, you know, special for 2022, she's also been a leader for that statewide DV community in her advocacy to improve the Sheriff's Department service procedures, along with our buddies Amanda and Gail. And so I am more than honored to be introducing Nancy Volpert.
Thank you, Minty. That is a very kind and generous introduction. Thank you for your friendship, for your partnership. I'm really lucky to work with you and to learn from you all year long. I also want to thank the LA City Domestic Violence Alliance for honoring me today, along with these incredible partners and advocates. You know, when I was appointed to the city council, represent Council District 5, it was 3 city council members ago, 3 city departments ago, and more than years ago. But as some of you have already mentioned, you know, Marjorie Browdy left a really lasting impact on Los Angeles, and a legacy remains today. She knew that our work combating intimate partner violence is work that requires collaboration. You've heard it again and again and again today. You know, over the last 15 years, I have been lucky to partner with a lot of you who are on today, and as well as some fierce advocates who have moved on to new challenges. But from Nadine Shimoji and Eve Sheedy, when I first started working with the city, to Amy Goldman and Abigail Marquez today, we really are well represented. And I just have to say to Bernita, Gail, and Pat, wherever you are, I want to be just like you when I grow up. But without question, my most important collaborators and co-conspirators are the team at JFS Hope. Karen Rosenthal is my friend, my mentor and teacher. Kitty Glass, Robin Altman, and so many others welcomed me into their program. Whether they open their doors to elected officials when I kind of last minute say, hey, I've got a tour, can we come? To answering questions, sharing resources with their clients. Team Hope has always understood that advocacy is a part of client services. And, you know, Minty kind of referenced this, but when I first joined the Ledge Issues Committee, Kimberly Wong and Denise Lavertu were co-chairs, who some of you probably remember. And our work really focused on safety and the prosecution of perpetrators. What penal codes apply, how restraining orders work, what language modifications are needed. I now know what 273.5 is. I will forever know what 273.5 is. And we still do that. But one of my proudest accomplishments is something Minty mentioned. We now have evolved our work to ensure that we consider the whole person, the whole survivor, as we look at legislation. Housing supports, food supports, health supports, income supports. All of these are part of our conversation, along with the deeply important safety concerns. You know, it is late, we are running long, but We know that each person deserves to live a safe, independent life with dignity and access to resources. The services that are provided each day to thousands of people of all ages and backgrounds that call us for help are staggering. You all are incredible. But we also need to change the policies that allow such massive harm to be caused and often still swept under the rug. It is because of that need that I continue to be motivated to do this work every day. This award, this recognition, is only more inspiration to keep doing the work. Please know each of you and what you do and what we are able to do together, city, county, state, and nod to the feds, really truly makes a difference. I am honored, I am flattered, I'm with Cariel, a little surprised, but know how much this is appreciated. And this group of honorees from the city and the county, I mean, how amazing to be part of this collection and this new collaborative. Thank you so much for this recognition.
Nancy, thank you for all the work you've done. And actually, thank you personally for teaching me so much about advocacy in the state and the opportunities we have to really make a difference in the legislation. So I am really honored to be able to be the chair and the moment that you get the Marjorie Browdy Award. So with that, we want to be mindful of people's time. We're a little bit over, but we're going to open it up for any public comment up to 2 minutes related to the Domestic Violence Council or the Domestic Violence Alliance.
Can I butt in? Public comment? Don't forget that
Public, sure.
Thursday morning is the next LA Regional Policy Committee, so please come join us at 10 a.m. Thanks.
Please do. It's a great place to learn and engage.
And for the record, I am still on vacation.
Okay, so Nancy will not be there. That's okay, Nancy. Please take your vacation so you can recharge and come back to continue doing your great work. Any other public comments? All right, then. Thank you so much, all of our awardees. I'll hand it over to Nicole for closing words. We so appreciate your participation. And again, congratulations to all our honorees.
Yes, thank you, Amy. And all of the honorees, in case you haven't seen, you have been getting so much love in the chat. So go ahead and make sure that you do take that in as well. Again, congratulations. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
But don't leave yet, because if you can and you're feeling like you're able, please turn on your camera and we're gonna just take a couple screenshots. So if everybody would like to give a smile, we can. Everybody ready? Okay. Gotcha. Thank you, everybody.
Just a reminder, the next Domestic Violence Alliance meeting, general meeting, will be on November 14th. That will be their elections. So again, encourage you all to attend. And again, the next DV Council meeting will be on November 8th. As always, if there's anything you need in between, please reach out to either body. If you want promotion of your events as well, please again, reach out. We're here, any support. So thank you all. And again, congratulations, awardees.
Could I suggest that because the host can save the chat and you could send that to the honorees, since you didn't let us, you didn't program it to begin with for us to be able to save it. So I think that all the comments would be nice for the honorees to have. So you could do that to save the chat and be able to send it to those folks.
Thanks for the
Thank you.
suggestion, Geraldine. All right, then. Have a great rest. Wait, Tiffany, did you have one, or are you just waving goodbye? Okay. Have a great rest of the week, everybody. Thank
Thanks,
you for
everyone.
all the work you do.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Congratulations.